What is up, everyone? Happy Thursday. The crossover coming to you with Ryno. Sorry, we're a little bit late today. Had a few obligations to take care of, but no worries. We are here. Want to remind you, get active in the show. Join the show. The link to join the show is right in the chat. Just hit it. Just join the show. Come up. Say what's up. Tell me what's on your mind. Keep it clean. It's got to be clean. Got to be with YouTube and Twitter guidelines. So you know the rules. No nudity. No cussing. I don't got a board. I don't have a dump button. So I can't dump you. But, just have some fun with it. I know some of you guys want to come on. Just do it. Be the first guest ever on the crossover. Long remembered first guest. So I'm going to put that in the chat right now. Look, see? We are a transparent show. We want you to join. We want to get you in here. So anyways, happy Thursday, everybody. Getting there. Almost the weekend. Almost the weekend. What do you think about the music? Yay? Nay? I don't know. We'll probably kick it off here in a second, but I'm enjoying it. It's good ad-free music, so can live with that. March Madness. March Madness is back tonight, which means pay attention to One Shining Clone. Let's see what happens there, man. I've been getting hit up left and right about the leaderboard. And if you didn't know, Grant Napier, he is throwing out a shirt for whoever wins, whichever clone wins. You get a Grant Napier shirt, just like that one behind me. So cool of him to do that. You'll have to definitely rock that shirt. Maybe we'll do something special for it. We'll customize it somehow to make sure you see that you are the champion of One Shining Clone. But that's not saying much. You're the champion of One Shining Clone, right? That's like, yeah, we're not going to go there. Hey, if you didn't check the show yesterday, were we ahead of the curve or what? We were talking about officiating. Did you see everything that happened in the NBA last night with the officiating? I thought there was a really, really good, Grant does a rant every single day. And he ranted on the officiating last night. But what I thought was really good about it was something he says. You never see the winning team or anybody from the winning team come out and say, yeah, the officiating was bad. Right? Like, and I feel like with him saying that, obviously that's not going to swing the pendulum. But I feel like we might be getting to that point because one night you are getting the calls and the next you're not. And especially with how bunched up the West is, look at that game last night in Dallas between Dallas and the Warriors. That game had big playoff implications, and the Mavericks ended up losing by 2. And, Mark Cuban actually filed a complaint about the officiating last night. And I can't blame him. It was for something that I believe was in the third quarter. And, losing by 2, it had to do with 2 points. Could have been the difference in the game. So, I mean, unlikely the NBA is going to do anything about it. They'll probably just sit on their hands and do what they always do. But, we're getting to the point where something needs to change. And that's what yesterday's show was all about. I don't know what it is. Talk radio all today. about officiating. Well, could you throw a fourth referee out there? We talked yesterday about challenges, and should a coach get an extra challenge if they win their first challenge? Should the last 2 minutes be reviewed every single game? Do you need to put parameters there? If the game's within so many points, every play is reviewable. I don't know. I simply don't know the answer to it. But what I do know, again, something's got to change. And you're going to see pretty soon, in my opinion, you are going to see somebody from a winning team come out and say something, because you might still win the game, but you may have had a major beef with the refs. Like, for instance, I saw the second quarter of that game. There were 2 or 3 really questionable calls on Steph Curry. And Steph, he had 2 fouls, second quarter. He was about to lose it. But then on the other end of the court, he's not getting the exact same call. So sometimes it begs the question, what the hell are they looking at? I mean, part of it is human. There's the human element, and human error is part of the game. But this has been the worst year that I can remember officiating wise. And guess what? It is only going to ramp up as the playoffs get closer and closer. And it's going to be under that much more of a microscope as the playoffs get closer and closer. So we will await the NBA's response. I know the officials came out with some comments after the game. If your officials are speaking to the media because of a bad call or anything along those lines, not a good situation. That means that something was amiss. So, anyways, enough about that. Hey, not sure if you had a chance to check out The Waterhole last night. The Waterhole was a blast. That is a show that Haunted Horse and I do on his network, HollywoodRejects.com. It streams on YouTube, Twitch, etc. We always have a fun time. We have no idea what stories we're going to bring to the show. He looks for some, I look for some, and we kind of kick them around. And, sometimes we kind of go down that rabbit hole and start talking about who knows what based off of who shows up in the chat. And last night was a fun episode. Certainly, there was some Rome-based stuff. Jeff in Southfield, we were going back and forth about Jim. And then, it's just some fun banter all in all. Also, don't miss out on DJ Haunted Horse show. You can get it's a fun show. You get to request whatever songs you want. And he's got the videos up there. A lot of the clones are in there. That's on Friday nights. Everything is down here below in the ticker. So that's also, go to HollywoodRejects.com for information on that. There's the Wood Scopes with 12 Wood. The Wood Scopes is usually the first Friday of every month. So go check that out at Wood Scopes on Twitter, at 12 Wood on Twitter. There's so many. Stucknut Radio with Headstrom Bacon and Steve and Pool Doc. Go check them out at stucknut.com. Outlaws and Potatoes with Frank and Boise. Mock Moda. Don't forget about Mock Moda. Go check that one out. That's a Twitter space, usually on Friday nights. And then I know I'm forgetting somebody. I know I am. Pool Doc, maybe. Pool Doc. He's got a new radio show that he's going to be firing up. I think he may have done an episode or 2 on that. So go check that out. That's on Stucknut Radio as well. If I forgot a show, forgive me. A lot of talented clones are putting out content that is actually really good. And we've got a great group of people that show up. And tell a friend. Just tell one person. It would be greatly appreciated. As for this end of things, Kings back in action tomorrow night against Phoenix. So Grant and I will have the halftime and post-game coverage of the Kings and the Suns. That's going to be on Grant's network. If you don't like that, You can find it on Twitter. You can also find that on YouTube, and then Grant's website. If you don't like that.com or grantnapier.com, you can also find him on Twitter at that should be like my first drop. Too bad Bacon's not here. Bacon would be able to get that all together. You can find that, or you can find him at Grant Napier Show on Twitter.com. So, anyways, Kings hopefully rested up. This is going to be a difficult run for them. They've lost 2 games. Their biggest losing streak of the year is 4 games. They have also had a 3-game skid, but they've got to get on track because the next few games they're playing some teams. The Jazz play them extremely well. You've got Minnesota with Towns, who has now returned. That's going to be a different team. Anthony Edwards, he's back. So they're gonna have the Pelicans thrown in there. There's talk about Zion returning. We don't see the Lakers again, but there was a report today from Woj that LeBron could return for the last week of the regular season. That would be interesting. You would, if he could, you would think that would make sense. I mean, you look at the West right now; they're separated by what separates the 5 seed and the 11 seed is like 2 to 3 games. So, and the Lakers are right there at the tail end. So, if they're going to make a run, they need LeBron, and it would be able to give them a chance to get LeBron back in the swing of things with the guys. Memphis, what about Memphis? They won again last night. They are 7-3 in their last 10. Ja Morant, he returned and he came off the bench. So, not going to say it's a change jaw, but I do appreciate his approach and how he is handling things since taking the leave of absence, going to counseling, and trying to get right. I agree with the approach. He made it known to his teammates that he was willing to come off the bench. Taylor Jenkins, the Grizzlies coach, ended up doing that, and there was no issue with it. And here's why there's not an issue with it either. Ja Morant's going to be on the floor at the end of the game. It doesn't matter who starts the game; it's who finishes the game. And Ja is going to be there on the court when the game is going to be on the line. So, but to let his teammates, keep running with what they've been doing, with him gone, not mess up that chemistry. That's a big thing. We've had a lot of people, or I should say, a lot of people have been bringing up certain things with the Kings back in the 2000s as of late, especially on Grant's Listen app show. I should have that in the scroller too. Listen app. Grant will have a show today. You can call into the show, talk to him at 5 o'clock Pacific. But a lot of people have been bringing up with the playoffs coming up and it being the first time in 16 years that the Kings will be in the playoffs. The past days, the good old days, right? When the Kings were playing really well, our glory days, as funny as it sounds. But that's what they were. And a certain situation was brought up with a certain player, and it was a very interesting story that Grant has told about that situation with that player who had missed the majority of the season with an injury. And we're talking about a very important player to the Kings. And he probably should have came off the bench, but because of his personality, it just would have not gone over well. He started, they lost that game, and their record from March into the playoffs was not nearly as good as it was without that player. So, go check out the Listen App show. You'll get some really cool tidbits about things that have happened in the past, things that are happening now, different insights, different views on things. You'll see the other side, or it'll open up your mind to things that you haven't even thought about before. I know it certainly has with me, and I get to work with Grant on a regular basis. I'm blessed to work with Grant on a regular basis, and it happens all the time. So, anyways, Let's talk about this for a few minutes. We're talking about baseball, okay, for a second. Baseball is coming off of a really good couple weeks with the World Baseball Classic, right? And on top of that, Major League Baseball has gotten a ton of run for the rule changes that they've instituted. And when you think about baseball, baseball is, well, it kind of putting me to sleep thinking about baseball, but baseball, a lot of traditionalists, right? And they don't want to see the game change. They don't they just they don't want to mess with it, right? It's got to stay the same because then the records are going to be different if somebody, breaks a record. Well, it was in a different era, yada yada yada. You get where I'm going. But baseball of all sports, they realized the game was too slow, like way too slow. Raise your hand if you watched a regular season baseball game from start to finish last year. Anybody? Anyone? Chat? No? Anyone? Yeah. Nobody. And that's exactly my point. It's tedious. It's slow. It puts you to sleep, especially with the ball not being put into play as much anymore. But on top of that, the time in between pitches, batters doing their entire routines, tapping the plate 4 different times, redoing their batting gloves, making sure that, the sticky stuff on their bat, pine tar is all in the right spot, and then going back in the batter box. It's just too much. So they instituted it's kind of like a shot clock in basketball and a play clock in football, but a pitch clock. And the pitch has to be off in 25 seconds. If you do not throw the pitch in 25 seconds, then it's an automatic ball. Conversely, if the batter is not ready to hit in 25 seconds, it is an automatic strike. It has sped games up already in spring training, and the response to it has been extremely good. It's been excellent, and the players like it. It makes sense. It's working, right? So baseball's got some good run from that. Good pub from that. Um, but then they get the World Baseball Classic. Has nothing to do with MLB. Nothing to do with MLB. Um, but but it still helps the sport in general. It gives more. It puts more eyeballs on the sport, right? And yeah, I know some guys got injured in the World Baseball Classic. They're going to be out for the season right now. Some of them. But overall, I mean, to see two teammates, Otani and Trout, going against each other for the championship, that was something special, and that's a moment a lot of people are talking about, and that's a moment that could help a lot of your casual baseball fans, help drive them back to maybe turning on a game every once in a while. Okay. So, what I'm saying is, baseball has gotten a little bit of momentum. They have. Good for them right now, up until today. Up until today. So, Rob Manfred, the commissioner of MLB, he has sent out a memo about the performance of Bat Boys and Bat Girls. The performance of Bat Boys and Bat Girls. Are we now going to have analytics for Bat Boys and Bat Girls? If they are not fast enough, they will be replaced. First off, wouldn't that be... Why does that have to be said? If you're not doing your job, then yeah, you'll be replaced. That's like so obvious. Why does that need to be put to paper and released as a press release? The second thing is, these are kids. They're freaking kids living out their dreams. I remember shoot, growing up, and I'm not a big baseball guy, but the Giants, when they made their run and they had JT Snow, and I remember, I think it was JT Snow coming around the bases in the playoffs, and Dusty Baker's son was right there in front of home base, and JT grabbed him because there was another runner behind JT during the game. Like I remember those little moments like that. Those kids are out there just, think about if you got to be a bat boy or a ball girl or a bat girl, I should say, or a ball boy, ball girl, for whatever your favorite sport is. One of those, the net runners in tennis. That doesn't look that fun though. I don't. That looks a little bit too stiff and uptight for me. But if that's your thing, that's your thing. But imagine getting the opportunity to do those things and be around the game you love and be around professionals, right? What MLB? Why you got to go in on the bad boys and bad girls? You've got a laundry list of other problems that can be fixed, that need to be fixed, that are way, way, way higher on the list than the performance of Bat Boys and Bat Girls. What's next? Seriously, what's next? Are we going to start counting how many baseballs are able to be used if a pitcher does not like a scuff on the baseball? Are we going to discipline the grounds crew if the dirt is not pulled exactly the right way? Are we going to get mad at the dugout boy if he doesn't run the balls fast enough out to the umpire? I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So I just baseball is one of those sports, especially since Rob Manfred has been the commissioner, that just can't get out of its own way. They have two left feet and they're trying to run. It's ridiculous. And I just they had a chance here to really build on this and really build on this momentum, and then you do something stupid like this. It's it almost makes me think of the movie The Other Guys. Like, oh, you never done a desk pop? You should do a desk pop. Oh, everybody does a desk pop. Yeah, desk pop, desk pop. Who the hell shot their gun off? It reminds me of that because it's so stupid. Like, anybody with a mind knows going after the bad boys and the bad girls. Like, who would think that's a logical, real thing to do that's going to improve the game? The pitch clock, okay, that improves the game. That it's shown about 25 minutes shorter per game now. What's going to speed up the Bat Boys and the Bat Girls? Or what is the standard? I guess that's a fair question to ask now. What's fast? What's slow? What's the standard? Huh? Are we running them through drills like the freaking NFL Combine or like NASCAR pit teams that practice during the week for pit stops? It it's a slippery slope, and it's so stupid to even think about and talk about. So for the life of me, I don't know why. Well, I do because it's baseball, but why any organization or any professional league that has momentum would do something as stupid as that. So stupid. So that's my take on that. I hope that is the last that we hear of that story. I, can you imagine an umpire or yeah, not an umpire? Can you imagine a manager? Hey, what would they've got the bring in the lefty, bring in the righty. What's the sign going to be for the bat boy? The bat boy's not doing his job. Put another one on deck. Get him warmed up. Does Bat Boy have a little warm up area to go work on his 5 yard sprint to grab the bat? Like, and when the umpire needs to sub out the Bat Boy, what's it gonna be? Is it gonna be like a like I don't know? Is it gonna be a small bat? Get it? It's dumb. So, anyways, I digress. We are going to take a quick break. Ryno in Sacktown. This is the crossover. I will be right back. All right, we are back. This is the crossover with Ryno. All right, let's talk a little March Madness, huh? I'm gonna start with the game tomorrow. San Diego State and Alabama. So I'm gonna be Homer Ryan, Aztec Ryan here. This is a game San Diego State can win. Alabama, probably one of the more athletic teams in the tournament. Definitely one of the best shooting teams in the tournament. But a lot of baggage with the situation going on with their program and, the player that was dismissed or that is charged with murder. He got another guy on the team who allegedly brought him the firearm. There were no charges with that. So, oh my gosh, do we have our first chat? We do. Con Man, the first guest on the crossover, the first person on the crossover. What's up, man? I know your Huskies are playing tonight, buddy. Good luck to them. Good luck to them. Be a fun Final Four. And Connor, I don't have the bracket in front of me. Would SDSU and San Diego State cross paths before the national championship? Just out of curiosity. Anyways, yeah. So San Diego State, getting back to what I was saying, they like to play ugly. And hey, Conman, you want to come in and talk some UConn basketball? Click that link, bro. We can talk basketball. We can talk Kings. Just let me know. You've been on Grant's show before. We're running the same system here. Yeah. So San Diego State, they will make you play ugly. And when I say ugly, I mean ugly. It's like Seattle Seahawk ugly, where you get these weird scores. What I'm saying is they play great defense. San Diego State does. And one thing that is very underrated about San Diego State is their athleticism. San Diego State is very, very athletic. Coach Dutch, Coach Soria, Coach Velasquez, they have made a point to recruit certain types of players. Think about some of the pros that have come out of San Diego State. The number one that you can probably think of, Kawhi Leonard, NBA All-Star, NBA champion. San Diego State has a lot of guys in the hopper, not as talented as Kawhi, but that's the type of player that they do. And Conman, I see you. Thank you, bud. Yeah, come on. We'll do a regular segment with you, actually, if you're down to do that. That'd be a lot of fun. But those are the types of guys that they've commonly recruited. So I think San Diego State actually matches up really well with Alabama. Now, the wild card in this is going to be what type of game is going to be played. We obviously know it's basketball, but when I talk about the type of game, who is going to control the tempo? If you are San Diego State, you want to slow that game down. You want to make it as slow as possible, make Alabama play in the half court, make them use all 30 seconds to get a decent shot. Um, because Alabama, they're going to want to go a little bit quicker, but that brings up the other thing, which is the shooting. Alabama is a very good shooting team. Very good, talented offensively. But I would rather ride in to a game with a solid defensive team in college basketball than a strong offensive team, because these are still kids. These are not professionals. Some of them will probably play in the NBA or D League or overseas, but the offense, the shooting could be off. They could get shaken. I mean, this is a big stage. It really is. It's a big stage. So what I'm saying is, if Alabama does not shoot the ball well and San Diego State plays defense the way they are capable of playing defense, do not be surprised if Alabama goes down. And again, there's all the other stuff, the off the court stuff with Alabama. They're getting heckled at almost every arena they walk into, even neutral site arenas, by the fans on the other teams. And I can assure you, San Diego State, their student section, they travel. Gosh, it's not coming to me what they are called right now. My God, they're gonna kill me for not remembering this. Um, they are going to kill me for not remembering what they're called. Anyways, the student section, they travel well and they are funny. They are very funny. And they're going to let Alabama have it. There's no doubt about that. What's up, Bill? Thanks for joining, my man. Your bracket needs Bama to lose plus Aztecs. Yes, sir. Yeah, I so when I filled out my bracket, I had San Diego State winning the championship because I was being a homer because I went to SDSU and played basketball there. Um, but I did still put them over Alabama. So I have that matchup as well. Bill, who do you have as your champion, man? Who do you? I'm guessing if you had SDSU going, let's see. I think you got Houston. You have Houston, or is your champion already out? Let me know. But yeah, SDSU. We'll see what they do. We will see what they do. I called it. Houston. That's who I have too. So we're on the same page, buddy. So yeah, UConn tonight. Connor talked about them. Always a solid team. Always. We will see how that plays out. UCLA. Watch for UCLA. They are playing good basketball right now. UCLA is and Mick Cronin. He is an excellent head coach. Excellent head coach. And that is not an easy place to coach either. There is a lot of pressure from that fan base, that market, those boosters. But he has definitely done a great job with his recruiting. That team looks like that team, to me, looks like the most talented team in the tournament. Thoughts on the Zags? You know what? You can never count the Zags out, right? Everybody, because of the conference they play in, it's a two-team conference. It's St. Mary's and the Zags every year, and there's a lot of similarities between St. Mary's and the Zags. A ton. School size, where they're at, the way they recruit, the types of players they recruit. Coach Few, he's a brilliant coach. And Gonzaga, they're always extremely fundamental. and look at some of the players that have come out of Gonzaga. Steven Adams, right? Look at our guy, Sabonis. He is so fundamentally sound. So the athleticism with Gonzaga concerns me a little bit. But they grind you down. That's the thing. They slow you down and they grind you down, and they can always shoot. They shoot the ball really well, and they're gonna go as far as Timmy takes them. So I could see them still making a little bit noise. I know they got scared in their last game, and oh my gosh, anybody bet that game? Did you guys hear about that, Bill and Connor? That is being called one of possibly the worst, but easily the second worst bad beat in NCAA tournament history. If you didn't see it, the spread for that game was 4.5 points. Okay, 4.5. Gonzaga was favored. Gonzaga hits their free throws. They're up 7 with like 0.7 seconds to go. And remember, in the NCAA, you can't advance the ball with a timeout. You got to take it the length of the court. So they roll the ball out. The dude picks up the ball at 3/4 court, his side of the court, and just heaves a shot. 3-point shot. Goes in. Got it off before the buzzer. The entire line, it swung right there. One of the casinos in Vegas said they would have lost their ass had that shot not gone in. So, and they won a lot of money because the shot went in. So that was crazy in the last Zags game. Dark horse, good question. Dark horse, Michigan State. You can't count out Tom Izzo team. That team's been through it this year. I think the Big Ten was a little bit better than it gets credit for. But with the school shooting that they went through, some struggles that they've had in the tournament before, that team's a little bit older. I think they're one that you could look for. The other ones here, we'll run down really quick. Let me pull this up. And we got a game going right now. Speaking of the Sparties, the Sparties are down 3 to Kansas State right now. Arkansas, that's everybody's kind of sweetheart right now with Emas and the way he's got that team playing. Connor, I like your Huskies, but I think there might be something there with Arkansas. I do. They have the feels of a team that could, get to the Final Four at this point, just based off of how they've won. FAU, Tennessee, FAU. They're rolling. They shouldn't be rolling. Smallest team in the tournament, but they're rolling. I would say, and then my other dark horse, SDSU. I think SDSU could still do some stuff. Let's see. What's your Final Four, Bill? You got Bama, Houston, and the Zags. You had Marquette. Yeah, I wouldn't have picked anybody from Marquette's league. Yeah. Marquette, they struggle in the tournament, and usually the years that they go far, they're not supposed to go far. If I'm going to take a team from that region, I'm looking at like Creighton or somebody like that, and I think Creighton's still in it. So, yeah, the Zags could do it. So when you look at UCLA and Gonzaga, those are teams that are familiar with each other. So they may not have played this year, but because they're West Coast teams, The players see each other in the off season. I'm not saying like see each other, but they get together for pickup games. They train with a lot of the same trainers, so there's some familiarity. But that's going to be a toss up for sure. I mean, UCLA, if you catch them on a bad night, then good for them. And the Zags, like I said, you know exactly what you're going to get out of the Zags in terms of fundamentals and the approach to the game. It's the Sabonis approach, man. It's something Mark Few hammers into his men. And just to run down the spreads, by the way, we got the Zags that are, let's see, Zags are a 1 point underdog, so that's pretty much a pick 'em against UCLA. FAU is a 4.5 point underdog to Tennessee. Arkansas is, let's see, a 4 point underdog to UConn, and the spread's off for Michigan State and Kansas State. So let's see. Your crawl is cool, but you spelled Frank's handle wrong. My bad. My bad. I'll get it cleaned up. I did that at the last second. I was trying to be a good guy and include Frank. I love Frankie. Frank's a good freaking dude. Good dude. So we'll get that fixed. You know what? I'm going to fire the intern that did that. They're going to be out of job, just like a bat boy in MLB. So yeah, that's kind of it. I mean, we'll see what happens tomorrow with the tournament, but at least we know we will have the Final Four set by the end of the weekend. If I'm looking at tonight's games, even though Kansas State is up 5 right now, I'm still taking Michigan State in that one. If I had to parlay the rest of the games, I would say Arkansas, FAU, USC, or UCLA. That's how I would pick them. Yeah. Don't forget Mark Moda. Where did that? Was that Frank? Who did that? It kind of sounds like John in New York. Do you remember who did that, Billy? I don't. That might have been before me. Could have been Frank, but I know Frank can twerk that voice. And by the way, I think Frank has something to do with that damn mutt that keeps calling the jungle. I really do. But he will not. He will not cop to it. I'll get him to cop to it. I think he's part of that. It was Jay Stu? Okay. So Mr. Carl and Rosemead did that. Jay Stu was Carl and Rosemead. 100%. 110%. That was Carl and Rosemead. You can hear it. In fact, I heard it the other day. I don't know how it came up on my phone. Like in the YouTube kind of generation that auto generates. And you can hear what he goes, hey man, how you doing? Good. You could hear Stu like really tweaking that voice. So yeah, yes, I know who Jason Stewart is. Jay Stu, dorm room, 10 dudes watching something you don't usually watch with other dudes. Mr. Mole without the nicks and cuts of a blade. I know Jay Stu. Come on, man. Come on. Seriously? Come on. So what was the context of that? Just curious. Was he just on the cans one day on the show and he yelled out, "Don't forget Muck Moda"? Or was it Connor's probably like, what the hell are these guys talking about? Connor, do you listen to Jim Rome at all? Let me know. But yeah, I wonder how that happened. That was a really good day. Jay Stu, that dude, he's something else. But the best days of, I think the best days of the jungle. were under Adam Hawk, or I should say my favorite days of the jungle were under Adam Hawk. And 12 Wood had Hawk actually on his show, The Woodscope. So go check that out. That's on YouTube. That was a good grab by him. Hawk's a good dude. If it wasn't for Hawk, I wouldn't have gotten to sit down with Jim for 5 minutes to talk Kings basketball here in Sacramento. That was a cool day because when Hawk pulled me aside, Hawk was like, what do you want to talk about? I'm like, see, Hawk King, what's your take? Wrong. Oh, okay. Okay, well, just go ahead, sit down. We'll see if Jim wants to do it. 5 minutes later, Jim bumps in from break. Hey, come up here, man. And yeah, I don't know what the hell came over me. I have no idea what came over me, but it was perfect. At the end of it, he's like, "Are you trying to audition for a radio job, man?" He said that on the air. But that was a cool moment, and Adam Hawk made that moment happen. Let's see. Rome was going down the list of next day guests. He forgot to mention Mark Mulder, so Stu reminded. Okay, got it. Don't forget Mark Mulder. That's right. So, Connor, you didn't answer me. Do you listen to Rome or not? Or have you listened to Rome? I know that's probably not your thing. I know you and Billy, by the way, Connor is like a sports savant. This guy knows everything about everything. I'm not kidding. He's so smart. He's like our Woj. That's like what I want to call him. Like when I talk to him, or when I was hosting Grant's post game shows when Grant was traveling, Connor came on one of the post game shows and just nailed it. So dude's got basketball and sports knowledge for days. Thanks, buddy. Thank you. Wanted to, was a little late, had some responsibilities to handle earlier today. And in fact, and the Kings have a day off, which means there's not 3 shows to do. So yeah, I took it a little easy for sure. Called Rome show today though. That went well. Apparently I'm on the watch list. So we'll see if I capitalize on that or not. But that was fun as always. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, so we're probably gonna wrap it up. Grant's got his show here in about 40 minutes, so I'm gonna make sure we're locked and loaded for that. I know Connor will be there for that, but the crossover stuff, we're gonna be doing it every single day. I'm flirting with times right now to get an idea of what's best for everybody, so we can have maximum participation. So stay tuned. We'll be bumping around, and I have to work it around the King schedule because of all the King stuff that I'm doing with Grant and a couple other shows that he does during the week that I am a part of. But please come back. Tell somebody. Clone friendly for sure. And yeah, the one shining clone bracket, we'll see how much that changes tonight. The top person, Tris, has I think like 106 or 105 possible points left, and they're in the lead. I am 8th or 9th, but I have more possible points. I think it's like 100. Maybe it's only a couple more points than that person has. So we'll see how that all plays out. But it's always fun to have a little bit of bragging rights, indeed. So, all right. Well, we had fun talking about and belittling baseball. Talked March Madness. Magmoda. Don't forget how to say March Madness. What was I thinking? Anyways, talk some March Madness, talk to Little Kings. Kings back at it tomorrow night. against Phoenix. Recap the NBA, recap the NBA refs. Saga continues. If you didn't catch yesterday's crossover, go check it out because it was all about the refs before any of this happened. So, yeah. Anyways, thank you guys, the two of you, for joining live, and the rest of you that will see this a little bit later. I hope you guys have a great day, and thanks for tuning in. I will be back tomorrow. This is Ryno in Sacktown saying so long.